Today's episode will give you clarity regarding the important points raised during the crypto town hall event and some interesting fact check along with the fundamental analysis based on the crypto town hall event. This kind of shows you where we are now and is there any changes in the expectations from the company Ripples. And guess what? Brad says you should be ignoring the FUD and keeping your focus onto the reality. We are ready to do that here in Scientific Investor channel. As we move ahead, keep this in mind. Internet of Value means Ripple the asset, which is XRP. Don't get confused with Ripple the company. They're talking about Ripple the asset here, and that is clear. You will need that as we progress through the crypto town hall event and try to digest the information which they are putting out, the hints coming out from that. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. We would be covering 6 key information from the crypto town hall events before jumping into other updates. The first one is the question that is XRP a security, or what does SEC actually look for when they consider assets to classify it as a security. Then the next one is how the adoption is going on, and when that happens, how is the IRS, SEC and other administrative side looks about. Then the next one is releasing or unlocking the 10 trillion capital market, capital tied up in the market into the Internet of Value. And what is Internet of Value? You already saw that. And then fourth one, Brad's question about which is the best asset and what is his thoughts about the crypto market. And then the fifth one is how XRP is going to give that value to the traditional market. And finally, the sixth one is showing whether XRP is a security or not, because that kind of gives investors a clear perspective to jump in or jump out of this particular vehicle. If you saw value, please do hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already done that. If you would like to extend your support for the research and the content presented here, you can use the links in the description for Patreon, PayPal or directly the XRP wallet. I've actually created a new wallet for this and linked it in the description below. Patreon will actually give you more value for your portfolio, like chart, setup, targets for different assets, not only for XRP but XLM, XDC, Quant and different assets just which you have in your portfolio. It's about your portfolio. We will discuss through your portfolio and gain more value for you. Now, talking through that crypto town hall event, there were questions and answering sessions in the side which was running like that. And one of the questions was like, Brad, are you able to speak if Ripple the company is assisting central banks to go through central bank digital currencies? Why are using RippleNet, XRP and other things? And he just stated that no, not able to comment. Now, when they actually say that, I would actually like to take you guys into this particular report, which is published for looking at central bank digital currencies, and it kind of gives you a lot of details. And when we come to the bottom here, it is like enclosed is an examination of growing body of CBDC literature across central banks and international organizations such as BIS, IMF, and also when they say that, keep in mind we already went through the documents from BIS, IMF and all. Now, before jumping here into that particular area of that document, I would like to show you this thing. Like when you are starting up, it's from commissioned by who? KPMG and Blockset. Now, who is Blockset? If you look into that, you can understand they were funded by SBI Holding, Ripple and other investors focused on banking and fintech. Now that kind of gives you a signal. It's all happening. If you want to believe that, you can believe that. If you don't want, it's completely up to you. Now, in this particular article, if we actually move into page number 10 there, we can have see this thing, right? How this evolution is happening. And as we look at different ages from the invention of Bitcoin till now, can see that from 2019, the events are increasing. The number of events happening for this is increasing. And this is 2020. Still, we just passed the half of this year and there are still quarters to come, right? And in that particular aspect, we still are looking at something to fill up these areas. Now that is the regulatory clarity which we are talking about, right? And when we are in a pandemic and the crisis is kind of pushing many projects to the downside, kicking them out, what is this doing in relation to Ripple the company? And Brad Garlinghouse kind of replies, COVID has created both tailwinds and headwinds to our business. We agree. But overall, I'm optimistic we will meet or exceed our 2020 goals, roughly what you have asked. Meaning, that is kind of the symbol that they are going to meet the target or they are going to exceed the target set for 2020. What else you need from Brad? Now that is kind of giving you an idea where we are now and where we are riding in 2020. When Brad Garlinghouse states 2020 is the year of digital assets, keep this in mind. They are not just lying. They are giving you a proper idea. And at the same time, about the FUD side of this, when we are seeing this kind of adoption, if you can't still believe, there are guys coming out and pushing FUD. And this was a question asked by Kevin, kind of asks to the Brad Garlinghouse about what is the case utility side of XRP and what do you actually think about scam coin being named for XRP, the name being substituted by many FUDsters as a pet name for XRP. And he kind of directly kind of states let's try to ignore the facts, FUD, and focus on the reality. So let's try to ignore the FUD and focus on the reality. XRP is extremely efficient. We all know that, right? So he is actually bullish on XRP as well as the entire crypto space. Now, it's not only the question and answer session I'm going to share with you. I'll actually directly share with you guys the words which they have said, which I feel those are really important. Say, before jumping into that particular video itself, we'll process this too. Brad, not sure if my question got lost here or there. If XRP can possibly be backed by something. Now, this is an important question because many are talking about XRP being backed by this, backed by that, gold, blah, blah, blah. And, Brad kind of comes down and states, hey, Josh, I'm sure you know XRP is an open source and decentralized. So, not sure how this would happen. If Brad Garlinghouse is not sure about what this thing is, it's kind of just can't set it aside. And then he continues, one could issue a new asset on XRP ledger backed by something, I suppose. I need to think through this. So at least he's considering to think about that, something else being issued on XRP ledger which can be backed by something else. But before jumping into the videos, I'll just show you guys what is coming after the videos because these looks really important, right? So this particular thing, which is also from that crypto town hall event, kind of connects with our previous episodes in which we discussed about Flare, Spark and XRP going into the smart contracts area. Now we'll jump into the video itself.
The SEC has been taking an interesting approach to this space. They think that somehow a token can magically transform from a security into a commodity and then into something else. This has no precedent in law, the case law, or logic. In the original ICO days, initial coin offering days, a token never started as a security that became a commodity. It may have been part of a securities offering, but it was never the security itself. This is actually current law, but the SEC doesn't seem to see it that way.
So that kind of gives you an idea about what SEC is looking at when they want to classify something as security, right? So that is kind of clear. And then by the end of this video, by the end of this crypto town hall, even when the congressman was talking to Brad, he kind of clearly state whether XRP is a security or not in his opinion based on his knowledge and the support from his supporters.
What I'm going to ask you and your answer, this is the more we can be successful at what we're setting out to do in terms of starting to use crypto contributions to support getting our message out and doing whatever. Guess what? The IRS takes notice, the administration takes notice, the SEC takes notice. You actually help us get stronger in terms of how we're able to push this issue up the hill into the executive branch and hopefully get the results that everybody needs. So here's the question.
And he kind of clearly states that, while he's asking for donations in crypto, that's also a positive news because one by one other congressman would be doing this. And guess what? He kind of highlights IRS, SEC, the administration, everyone would be looking at this and hurrying up with their regulations because the adoption is going into different phases, right? It's not only traveling in the highway, it's also going into residential areas, into every different roads possible. So as the adoption grows into that kind of phase, and in this particular episode, you can see that, Brad Garlinghouse was stating, I would be kind of going through your donation campaign, and we would be donating in XRP. So that is kind of, positive news being said by Brad itself about that. So when IRS, SEC and others are considering, that's going to be a huge thing.
Brian Brooks, the interim head of the OCC, referenced something I talk about on occasion, which is the fastest way to move money to London or Australia, wherever you're going, often is to put it in a suitcase rather than actually sending a wire transfer, which can take many days. At the core, and I'll be brief here because I know that we're running a little short of time. At the core, there are tens of trillions of dollars in cross-border payments annually. There's a lot of that tied up in how that system works, the infrastructure, and we really think by creating this internet of value, enabling value to move the way information moves today, there really is a way to unlock that value, which is it's good for the entire, frankly, the world, right? If we can unlock working capital like that and make it useful, I think that is great for the planet.
What is important to note here is Brad Garlinghouse kind of highlights 10 trillion working capital is tied up, and not only that 10 trillion, but other capital is also tied up just to maintain the current infrastructure of cross-border payments. And that is kind of funny thing to think about in this century where we are now. So the 10 trillion of that working capital is currently tied up, and he is talking about unlocking that along with other dormant funds. So how they are intending to unlock this? They are looking to unlock this using the internet of value. So what was the internet of value again? If you remember this thing, you can understand this is the internet of value they are referring to, which is Ripple, the XRP. So if you have more doubts, that is kind of a doubt which you can just take it away, because that kind of shows you where we are going. If you don't understand, this is kind of the simple explanation. Ripple, the XRP, is going to be oil for the financial industry.
XRP, as many people know, is extremely efficient in terms of its cost, in terms of its speed. But I am bullish on crypto broadly, and I think there's going to be a number of winners. I'll also just, keeping it short, I think something Jeremy said really resonated with me. People talk about where are we in this journey, and some people, I've used the metaphor of a marathon. Jeremy was talking about broadband, and Jeremy and I have both been around for a little while, seeing the internet develop. And I do think this is the early days of moving from narrowband to broadband. My first job in Silicon Valley was actually at a company called the At Home Network, which was the first company to roll out cable modems. And I think we're seeing that acceleration in that journey, and I think we're making great progress.
And Brad generally states XRP is the best asset. Considering its efficiencies, the specifications like speed, reliability, the scalability and other things. And he also adds on, like, I'm bullish on many crypto projects. Now we know that other assets are also there with utility. Consider XLM, Quant, XDC, just to name few, right? These have the potential to become, best assets, similar to that of XRP. But yeah, XRP will rule, that's for sure, considering the ILP, the adoption rate and all. Even Quant is coming up with the overledger. So, there would be other assets as well in this new history of finance. So when we say that, keep in mind, financial sector is too huge, and just the cross-border payments is so huge, which is the target of XRP, right? So don't get confused when you're getting into investment, because it is clear that proof of work is kind of going to ashes.
And there's a lot to love, but there's you don't need an intermediary. I kind of love that, as people know. What's the biggest challenge Ripple has faced today?
I think you and the audience won't be surprised to hear me say that. I think that the biggest challenge Ripple has faced, and really anyone developing in the XRP community has faced, is the lack of clarity on how assets beyond Bitcoin and Ether are going to be defined by the SEC. And the absence of that regulatory framework, it restricts innovation. And I think having that clarity and certainty allows companies to invest in and accelerate activity that is happening organically, but it would just happen more quickly. I think we're way beyond where we were in the kind of crazy days of Silk Road and scams and some of the ICOs that happened. And it's been over 2 years since the SEC said that Bitcoin and Ether aren't securities. And, that's a long time to wait, particularly at a time when we're seeing other countries like China full speed ahead with their efforts. And I think that that is an obstacle to growth, to kind of where we're headed. So I'm hopeful that we'll make some progress on that. And frankly, this type of session helps.
The congressman kind of understand that XRP is removing the third man, the middleman in between. These are the correspondent banking network they are suggesting, right? If you're sending money from one bank to another, there are correspondent banking chain in which they pass on through and take, or kind of, cut your throat and bleed. As you are bleeding, they are going to collect that as much as they want and then let you die. So it's something similar. They're going to take as much as possible, and there are errors in that too. Sometimes you'll have to go there and ask, I sent something from here to there, it's not yet reached the final destination account. So that kind of thing is being removed here, and the regulatory side of it is being talked by the Ripple, and it is highlighting that the regulatory clarity is the issue, which is kind of not giving that acceleration which we need from the investors side and other side, because just the Chinese mine coins like BTC and Ether have that proper clarity. In US, you have to actually think about that. They are using there, mining there, getting more profits from the miners in China, and here US is giving clarity for them and endorsing that Chinese thing, right? So that kind of has to be thought in many different ways. Now let's move on to the next part.
And when you say over 2 years, first off, my position's very clear. XRP is not a security, all right? But even if you want to do this, you want to have this discussion, the SEC, my frustration, as you probably have heard very directly.
Now the question regarding whether XRP is a security or not is kind of $1 million question at the moment. And the congressman kind of thinks it like XRP is not a security. Now, when he says that, remember, in the initial stage, he kind of stated that what SEC or the rule book says about what is a security. So he kind of understands what is a security, and if it is classified as a security, what should be its characteristics. After understanding all of those key points, he is clearly stating that XRP is not a security. Now, you can see fraudsters coming out and say that's just a congressman, that's this, they don't have said this, SEC never gave final confirmation, blah, blah, blah. But understand this, payment token, utility token, and other stuff is coming behind in just adding names to this. But one by one, it is adding on to this, and the utility side is kicking in. If you understand that or not, the adoption is also growing along with the utility. As the investors understand the utility, they are adopting it. They are not fools, right? They are investors. That's why they are called smart money. Now jumping back into this particular tweet from Flair, highlighting, Brad Garlinghouse stated Flair is combining the best of XRP, which is the very fast settlement, the ability to settle fast in a scalable manner, then Ethereum smart contract and consensus, which helps extended XRP's utility to allow developers to create more contracts for new use cases like lending and DeFi. Now, we already understand where they are targeting towards lending and decentralized finance. So that is kind of cool thing, right? So first of all, in the comment section, if you look, I'm dumping ETH for Spark. Why? They have their own reasons, but understand where the fundamental is moving on. Now, at the same time, if you look at this particular side, OCC issues guidance on safekeeping and custody service for crypto. So that just came on August 20th. So, the recent news suggests that it is moving to an era where they are all going to consider cryptocurrency. They're not talking about, just thinking about that. They are giving guidance. While you're doing that, you have to do it like these. So they are ready to accept that institutions are going to do this. They understand that because this is going to be the future. Now, in one aspect, when they are looking at this is an investment of future, this is the future. But at the same side, they also have to look at, scams, hacks and all. So they have to also consider the consumer protection. So they are coming up with regulations, and that is kind of one of the best things which you have to actually understand. Now, at the same time, some of the new payment platforms are seriously battling out by competing it with traditional payment methods. Now, that is noting a key example from IMF statement regarding RippleNet. Now, Michael sent me this message and I'm thankful to him, but we actually covered the entire article previously. We kind of missed this particular part or this particular perspective in that. So I'm thankful to Michael for sending me this aspect, and I went through that document. So it is kind of what we said in the initial stage in the background for that particular article when we went through. But understand this. This is a competition for taking out the payment processing industry. And who is going to survive? It should be someone who is unlocking the Internet of Value. As we just heard from Brad Garlinghouse, it is being ready to be unlocked. And once it is being unlocked, understand slowly the 10 trillion endowment fund along with other capital funds tied up just to maintain the infrastructure would be withdrawn from there, because when you have an infrastructure which can instantaneously virtually send value from one end to another, like OCC guy, the Brian Brooks stated, right? If that is being implemented, you don't need that tied up capital. So automatically you have a huge market, which is not even the target side of that market, but just the layer of infrastructure being considered now. Understand that dormant capital is just there to settle that funds. Now, once that fund is out, they would be investing it into a digital asset which would be used for these payment processing. And after that, they would be using that asset to again transfer the fund. You have that investment side and the technical side, which is the burn rate when the transactions are happening. Automatically, supply is reduced slowly, but still the supply is being reduced and the demand is increasing. So what does the basic economics highlight? The price should go up. If you understand that or not, or if we can digest the information from the fudsters, yeah, XRP, what I appreciate in price, you can just digest that and sit aside. But those of you who understand this fundamentals should be looking towards the future, next 3 years, next 5 years. What are you looking at? And this is what we are looking at, the Internet of Value. So guys, that's all for today. And if you saw value in the content, do support the channel, hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do subscribe to the channel. If you have any comments or suggestions or questions regarding what we presented now, you can let me know in the comment section below. So I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.